If you don't have good guy friends as a guy, you're probably not going to be a good boyfriend because that's a huge flag. I hope any woman listening realizes that if you're trying to date a guy who doesn't have a good, strong set of male friends, there's probably something off there and that they need to work on that.
Well, hey, friends, welcome to this week's episode of The Boundless Show. This is Lisa Anderson here with you. I have three guys here at the table. I have Paul, Gary, and Angel. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Good morning, Lisa.
Good to have you here because we are going to give, and by we, I mean you, not me. I've already given all my advice on this front. Advice for what we would call dateless men. Bless their hearts. Okay, guys, you who are listening know that one of your compatriots wrote in and said, I'm super frustrated. I feel like I ask women out. I feel like I've done all the things. I just can't. Women don't want to date me, or I've tried and failed, or I just can't make a relationship stick. What does this mean? So these guys have been in the thick of it. They are all now married. I was jokingly telling them beforehand that we're going to do a separate segment with their wives to see, were they actually successful at this? Like what did they learn? But no, I'm just teasing about that. But we're going to look to you guys to help our audience out here. So give us just a quick little synopsis maybe of your own stories of how long you were single, what your maybe dating process looked like, kind of was it what you expected? I don't know if you want to say I went out with 870 women prior to meeting my wife. If you want to, feel free. I'm sure guys will be encouraged by that.
Will Chamberlain on the program or something?
Something like that. So, Paul, why don't you kick us off? Give us a little brief history of your life in the dating pool.
Yeah, well, Julie and I have been married 25 years almost.
Wow.
And
okay.
I started.
I was at your wedding. That's so wild.
You were.
I know.
We've known each other a long
25.
time.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Man.
So I didn't date till college,
Okay.
and had a real serious college girlfriend that I thought I was going to marry, and we planned on it, and then she suddenly decided, right towards the end of the 4 years, that she wanted to live in Greenwich Village and live a very different lifestyle than not lifestyle, but just a different type of future. And so we broke up, and that was devastating to me.
Yeah.
And so I dated on and off from time to time, and grew increasingly frustrated probably because nothing seemed to really click. So much so that when I came out to here in Colorado Springs, I pursued dates, and we thought got along well with everybody, more or less, but it just nothing really seemed to work. And so when I met Julie, we worked in the same department. She worked for you, so you know this well. I offered to show her around town. But I was sort of at a point in my my dating life, I guess, where I was sort of exhausted. And I just thought, I'm just going to do it differently this time. And so she would ask me sometimes, we weren't really officially dating, but she would say, you want to come over and watch a movie? And I literally one day told her I was going to do my laundry that night. And she got so irritated at me. And she said, hey, listen, did you want to, be friends and possibly date or not? She said, show me some prioritization here. And so it really was kind of a wake-up call for me. Okay. And that kind of turned the tide, and we started dating, and we had bumps within that leading up to getting married. Not much, but it was more about hedges, and I was had female friends that we would run together, and I never thought it was anything more than just platonic, and she was not happy about that.
Okay.
And she made that known to me, and we actually broke up for like 3 days over it.
Yeah.
Because I was being stubborn about it.
Okay.
But we worked that through, and she was right, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And we've had a great marriage.
Yeah.
It's been terrific.
And I love that she's not a runner. So it's not like you were, we have to line up on all these things and have all the same interests and stuff. She was okay being her.
She was. She told me she ran. And so actually the first kind of pseudo date, we went running in Garden of the Gods.
Okay.
And we were about 2 or 3 minutes on the trail when she tapped me on the shoulder and she said, this is not going to work. Yeah. So fortunately the run didn't work, but the relationship did.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Gary, how about you?
So my dating during high school was none.
Okay.
I even got stood up at senior prom.
Oh.
I mean, it was one of those situations. I thought I had the plague. I went to a small college in East Texas, and they had an
Not that
unofficial
we can tell by the accent. But go ahead.
unofficial policy: ring by spring or your money back.
Oh,
I got time to graduate, and I went to our dean of students. I said, "I want my money back." She said, "That's not a policy." But it was like that for most of my years. We've been married 20 years, and I was 37 when we got married.
okay.
So I was single a lot longer than I've been married.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, we're going to dig more into that because I know for a fact that you did have a little bit of a tumultuous relationship history before that. So, yeah. But Angel, how about you?
2 words: awkward and insecure.
Okay.
However, I've always been a great listener, so I would fall into the friend zone quite often.
Not
then-
surprising for a counselor, but
Right,
okay, you kind of
right.
shot yourself in the foot there.
Exactly,
But, okay.
exactly. But then during my freshman year in college, I met this this girl, and she approached me first. You know, so she took the initiative because I've always been very insecure in that area. So she approached me, started talking, and that led to a 3-year relationship. We got engaged, and then we broke up.
Oh,
And it was quite painful.
yeah.
But we were just not very good to each other, you know, so it was not very healthy. And then months after that breakup, I met my wife.
Okay.
And she approached me first again. And yeah, we've been married for 13 years, and we have 2 beautiful boys.
Okay.
And it's been great. But yeah, my dating life was not very good.
Well, I think we're going to, like, there are people listening that are like, dude, you lucked out that these women approached you and helped you.
Exactly.
They're
Exactly.
going to be like,
Yeah.
that was kind of a lottery, I think, in terms of, oh, okay, they're indicating their interest. That's pretty awesome. So, okay. So talk a little bit about, again, you guys alluded to it, but just some of the, I think often when we talk about dating, we think in terms of women getting broken hearts and, oh, the guy dumped me and this was so, and I had so many hopes and I was writing my name with his and all this kind of like rom-com-esque kind of stuff. But guys experience heartbreak too. So how, as you experienced rejection on various fronts, how did you even determine to have the courage to try again? Because I think that is something that the element of risk for men, the element of this one didn't work out, but it doesn't mean that something won't work out. What did that look like for you to be able to say, okay, I can give it another go?
Well, after college, I was engaged 3 times.
Wow.
They were short relationships. The first one was less than 6 months. The second one, a good friend of mine got married, and I was in his wedding and saw this girl and pursued a little bit. Well, didn't last very long, but long enough for me to say, hey, will you? And she said yes, and then all of a sudden, no, I won't. The third one was one I'd gone to college with. She was a roommate of a girl I sort of kind of almost dated during college, because it was a this week we'd go do something, next week, no, I don't want to see you type thing. And so I had the knowledge of her and knew a little bit about her ahead of time. And so we were together for 8 or 9 months, I don't remember. But she did not finish college when I did. She went back later, and so she was focusing on college. And during that time, it was, what do I do? This hurts. And the first one probably hurt more because it was unexpected and it was out of the blue. And I think the biggest part that helped me was parents and grandparents who followed the Lord and just was there. Didn't always say anything, didn't always do anything, but just was there.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing in any kind of hurt like that is just being available.
Okay. So how in the world, when you got engaged to your now wife, Ashley, how did you even say, like, this 4th time, this is going to work? We're going to be able, I mean, how'd you have the courage to say, like, I mean, did you even think, like, maybe God is calling me to be single, or this is just not a thing that is meant for me?
I didn't think he was calling me to be single because my
Okay.
desire to be married was so strong.
Okay.
But with Ashley, it was different. But number one, we were an online couple. She had worked with somebody here at Focus who had experienced an online relationship.
Okay.
And I took it slower.
Okay.
Of course, part of it was we were in different parts of the country, but part of it was I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to do things differently this time than I've done the other times.
Okay.
And so it was, Ashley was beginning to think there's no hope here because it did take a while. Our first contact was in December. It was over a year later when I came out to Colorado and saw her face to face the first time.
Okay.
Once that happened, it began to roll a little bit faster.
Okay.
But I took some time and I didn't rush in.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Any other heartbreak?
During that breakup, or after that breakup, I solidified my values, my core beliefs, and my spiritual convictions. And I think that was very helpful. It really helped me just communicate with Glenda when we were first dating and say, hey, I don't want to waste any time. So long story short, we did not have an engagement party. I never gave her an engagement ring.
Okay.
We just talked, and after a while we said, this is it, right? You're in it? She's like, yes, let's do it. And very unorthodox, I know, right? I don't.
We're going to have to check if you're actually married. We don't even know if this happened.
I'm
What in the
married,
world?
I'm married.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll believe you. Whatever.
But yeah, I think that what gave me the courage to try, so to speak, is because I knew who I was, and during that first relationship, I was very insecure, and I did compromise a lot of my spiritual values.
Okay.
And that led to the breakup ultimately.
Yeah. I think what Angel's saying about rejection being learning about yourself, and that truly was my experience, at least. It was a real turning point because at first it made me want to change to appeal to her, that she wanted clearly to have something different. So I literally bought different clothes. I stopped wearing contacts. I got like these ridiculously studious glasses that I thought were like that was who she wanted.
Okay.
And then I realized, she wasn't really supporting my running of sorts. Like, I had stopped running marathons for a little bit because it wasn't like she didn't like to go to races or anything like that. But it made me, after some time, realize, no, wait a second, that's not who you are. Now, rejection can challenge you. To think maybe there is something wrong with me that I need to address, but it can also help you solidify who God made you to be and to not try and appeal to what that person wants you to be.
So, and to that point, what would you say? Because I think there could be perceived a fine line between don't change core things about yourself that are necessary, that are inherent to who you are, and things like, Angel, you mentioned values and whatever, but were there any things that you realized like, okay, this could be an area of growth for me? This could be something that, I often tell when guys are like, I remember one guy wrote it into Boundless and he's like, I've asked out 84 women and all of them have said no. And I'm like, okay, you need to go find some dudes in your church who are going to help you figure out why that is, because just the law of averages there. So what does it look like to ask for helpful feedback and realize maybe some of the things that you would suggest to men listening that are areas that they probably could grow in that might be holding them back as men?
Conflict avoidance.
Okay.
I think that's a big one. In my case, I've always been a people pleaser in recovery. So I avoid conflict at all costs. And that led me to live this double life where I would pretend with people to be someone I was not. And every time I would interact with a girl, everything was fine. Everything was rainbows and roses. And, I think that they were looking for more authenticity and rawness, at least emotionally. And I was not able to offer that. So I always tell men, be authentic. And what that means is that you have to be true to what you're experiencing in the moment. You have to be true to your feelings, and you have to communicate that in an honoring way. You have to be able to articulate what is it that you're experiencing, even if it's not pleasant. So conflict avoidance and the urge to please people I think that's a big one.
Yeah, that's good.
It feels like the George Costanza, if everything I do is wrong, then maybe if I do the opposite, that would be right.
Yeah.
So if things aren't working out for you,
Yeah.
well, then examine and figure it out.
Yeah.
And if the person is not showing interest in you, well, don't pursue it. I mean, why continue to push?
Right.
But if you don't have good guy friends as a guy, you're probably not going to be a good boyfriend because that's a huge flag. I hope any woman listening realizes that if you're trying to date a guy who doesn't have a good, strong set of male friends, there's probably something off there and that they need to work on that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We've talked on, women giving advice to guys too on the show before. And I always say, it seems like women always say, well, I just like a guy who projects confidence. And then guys are like, okay, well, I've tried that and it doesn't work. And it's kind of like, oh, what do I do? But, I think there are various ways to do that. And there's an element of, for lack of a better way, saying if we're talking about the way the world talks about it, quote unquote, having game and stuff. But it's not by being a poser. It's not by being someone that you're not. It's not by being suave or faking things for sure. But I like that idea of being comfortable with who you are and being about things that are important. I think that's so necessary to be like, who has God created you to be? And what does that look like? And then find someone who is interested in that. I think that's helpful. But I think one question that so many guys have when they're pursuing women and asking for dates is, how do I not appear desperate? What would be your advice on that front? Because I think this idea of like, when women feel like, oh, he's just, he's coming across as so desperate or so needy or so whatever, what are guys doing that they need? How can they do that differently?
Not waiting.
Okay.
You go out on a date, you're calling, you're texting 20 minutes after you get off.
Okay.
And not
it sounds a
giving
little bit desperate.
Not giving it some time to gel.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think that when I first got married, I saw my wife as a source and not a resource. So she was the source of my stability, the source of my contentment and my joy. And that created a lot of rupture. And I think that also applies in dating. How do you communicate that she is, or she has the potential to be a resource, from God, but she is not the source and the center of your universe. So I think it goes back to your sense of identity and your sense of joy.
Yeah.
I think desperation is also a perception, and it can be allied or allied by showing interest in the other person.
Yeah.
So stop talking about yourself.
Right.
I mean, literally stop it and talk and ask questions and really feed. I mean, with Julie, she's told me what drew her to me was that I used, I like to read the newspaper and I would clip articles that I thought were of interest to her. So she was an oboist and she liked art. And so I would clip things that I saw and I would either mail them to her and leave them on her desk. And she thought, oh, he's actually thinking about me. And so that just a subtle way of letting it be known that this is not all about you.
Yeah.
Because that mentality of scarcity will lead you to self-promotion.
Yeah. That's so interesting. You guys say that, because I remember talking to a friend of mine who went on a date with a guy and he did not ask her one question. He literally the entire date just talked about himself and his interests, and almost like in a weird kind of self-promoting kind of way.
Pitch.
It was it was really sales pitchy. And she's like, I don't even think, like, why would he even want to go out with me? He didn't learn a single thing about me. Like, what in the world? So I think that is a great check, for guys to have, because again, I think a lot of times it's done with good intentions of, I want to seem interesting. I want her to like me. I want to, but again, it's just not, that's conversation 101.
And on that point, I did not grow up with a father. So I didn't have a stable father figure. So I didn't know how to approach girls, period. I didn't have anyone to ask questions and, get feedback from. So I had to look for a mentor. And I think this is really important. And I looked for a friend that is very open and very transparent. Those friends that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And he was the first person. I'm so grateful to him, because he was the first person to tell me, you are a people pleaser and you are needy.
Yeah.
And you got to stop that.
Yeah.
So that was helpful feedback.
But regarding with just getting back on desperation, shouldn't the guy have a lot of other interests outside of that particular date?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't, that you can appear desperate, because what else are you living for? I mean, are you connected to a good church? Do you have hobbies? What are you reading? Where are you traveling to, right? What are your dreams? I mean, talk about those things.
Right.
And other people, when you do talk about yourself, I think that will cast an idea that, okay, this person has a life. Yeah. It's not all revolving around me, because that's smothering.
Right. And for both men and women, it's, I think I said this earlier, are you about things that are bigger than just you and your pursuit of a date or even a pursuit of marriage, which is a very good thing. So I think that's important to be that, like, man, if this date doesn't work out, if this relationship doesn't work out, it doesn't need to level me because I am so many other things. Right. Now, to that point, and Angel, you had brought this up, so I want to ask this quickly. What about the danger of being friend zoned? Because I think a lot of guys are like, I invested in this girl. I am now her counselor. I am now her BFF. I somehow got myself in this spot. How do I get out of it? How do I stay out of it? I think guys can kind of see it coming, and it's very frustrating. So what does that look like?
That's a tough one, because the girl I dated in college was kind of that way. We would do things, then all of a sudden, silence. Then we do something and silence. And as it turned out, it was more of I just want to be friends, and I'm not going to tell you that. Yeah. I'm going to let you think otherwise. Yeah. But I'm just a friend. Yeah. I want to go back to something Paul said, though, and I want to say that explore. Explore hobbies, explore places. Don't be afraid to go eat by yourself. And I think doing that will help you to become more of who God wants you to be, while becoming more dateable, if you will.
Yeah.
If you don't know if you're in the friend zone or not, you're in the friend zone. I mean, like, you know what I mean? If you think you are, you are. I mean, like, that's kind of silly. And it's the guy's own fault. I guess girls can lead on guys by accepting, free meals and gifts and flowers and things like that. But generally, the guy has to own that. Yeah. And get in touch with reality. And
if you don't know, you will know when she asks you for dating advice about the guy that she actually wants to go out with.
I wish I had you guys back then.
Yeah. Angel sensing some personal reflection here from his past. So, well, any other advice for just the guy who's like, I don't even know if I can keep trying. I don't know how to put myself out there one more time, put my cards on the table, take the risk. What's your encouragement to them?
When I work with people with anxiety, I tell them the goal is not for you to be less afraid. The goal is for you to be more courageous. So do it afraid. There's no courage without fear, right? And then the second advice will be from Proverbs 3, 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. And that little verse right there, your path straight, means your life purposeful, right? So find purpose in your singleness.
That's good.
Be who God created you to be. Whether it's single for a season, whether it's single for a lifetime, be who God created you to be.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would just say, if you want a good spouse, or if you want a spouse, deserve it. Deserve a good spouse. So live a life that would be attractive to that person. Live responsibly. Be a good person. Help other people. Express interest in other people. And as long as you deserve one, I think eventually, and that's your heart's desire, the Lord will bless you with one.
Yeah. Be the kind of person that you'd want to marry.
That's
a great pursuit, even if you're not dating, again, that growth is so important. Yes. You guys, thank you so much. What great advice.
Oh, thank you.
I might even take it. I'm not even a guy. It's excellent. Good. Thanks.